There's really no opening statement. This is easier for you guys to have a scrum, so ask Simon or myself questions and we can answer them.
Mayor, what was the tipping point for you? You've been a #1 fan of this arena for a number of years now, but you just seemed like you wanted that to say cease negotiations. What was the tipping point?
I am still a huge fan of an arena. No doubt in my mind, I'm still a huge fan of an arena. I don't want anything to confuse that. But there has to be fairness to it. And when I've seen the numbers and the analysis of income and expenses, there's a lack of equity and expectation that is unfair of City Council in the City of Edmonton. And I believe that most people would look at that, they saw it, and come to the same conclusion. And I just think that, there's a point you reach. Council went a long way in October to put a deal together. And really, we thought we had a deal. And now we find out we don't because of how someone decides to compute their numbers.
Do you think that this cease and desist motion will provoke a more reasonable response?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Is there anything other than the October framework from last year that's acceptable to the city?
Well, that's all we have in front of us. And I think it's more than a fair deal. The administration was going to recommend a couple other options, specifically on the share of the cost overruns in the arena, but that's not on the table now. So it's frustrating for all of us.
How much of a factor was it him not showing up today after you?
I don't. I think if he would have come, and maybe we could have had an interesting discourse, and I can tell you, council would have been polite, and council would have been, very respectful of Mr. Cates. He's a, fine Edmontonian, an amazing business person, and so a very philanthropic person. So council would have been very polite. But we need someone to tell us what you want and why you want it. And the guy, I'm assuming the guy in Seattle went to the Seattle City Council. I think the City Council deserves that respect. And I can tell you, this guy, our city manager I'm pointing at, has been busting his you-know-what for 2.5 years to try to make a deal. We've gone nowhere.
Mayor, can you explain further your statement about holding hockey ransom?
I think that's the way it is. I mean, he knows how valuable the Oilers are to the city of Edmonton. They are, and I believe it's a sacred trust that when he bought the team he said he had. And I believe that it's responsibility of him as well as the city of Edmonton. Like, we have a sacred trust too. We have a responsibility to go as far as we can go to make sure a deal happens. But it's only so far we can go. And you need to prove to the city council, the citizens of Edmonton, if you want more money and you deserve more money, show us why. Don't say that you want us to pay for a bridge across the road that's going to drive people to your development and expect it to be a cost to the arena. It's unfair. Unfair. That's the kind of stuff. But that to me is what's wrong. Yeah, you over there.
Yeah, me over here.
How's your dad?
He's doing much better. He says, "That's nicht mit der Rabbits in them."
Good.
So, do you feel you've been treated with respect by the case?
Oh, I'm not worried about treating with respect or not respect. I get yelled at because people thought I was too close to Kate's, and now they'll say, "Gee, you're not close enough to Kate's." It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't make any difference to me. I got a great council who are very, very visionary people, and that's what counts. And they're a great group of people who I think have gone a long way, and I think they need to be congratulated on what they've done and they've gone through. So,
Mr. Farbrother, maybe you can address this.
Yeah,
too.
Simon, please.
When did negotiations go off the rails? How long have you known that this was at an impasse where it wasn't going to meet council's expectations?
Well, I think when we started to introduce operating subsidies into the formula, that was probably the key item.
That was last month, was it?
No, it's been a while.
It would have been in August, but we've been working hard to try and work through issues to understand numbers, and but at the end of the day, we think the arena will operate at a profit, and based on that, it's hard to justify an operating subsidy.
Can you see value in having Gary Bettman be involved in this process at this point? I mean, assuming there would be a reseller thing?
Mr. Bettman was an integral part of New York, and he was incredibly helpful. I got to say, Gary Bettman has been a great friend of the city of Edmonton. I don't know at this point what the answer is, but I can say that without equivocation that Mr. Bettman was a great part of the New York negotiations, but also a great friend of the city. And so, but at this point in time, I'm not sure.
Mr. Mayor, what do you say to hockey fans tonight? What's your message to them? You know, that they're thinking now this deal is completely dead.
Well, that City Council is doing their best to try to make a deal, and I know they're frustrated. But I think there's we have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that we deal effectively with the public money and the public trust. And I don't think that citizens would expect us to do something at any cost, to be held up as once as they referred to earlier for ransom. And I think it's part and parcel of the need for Mr. Cates to come to the table in a way that's going to find results, not new demands. So we hope that at some point in time we'll be able to solve the problems. But right now it's frustrating, I know, for the hockey fans, because we value them a great deal. We didn't go through this and spend the last 3 years negotiating not to do this and spend the millions of dollars that we didn't want to do this. We are the willing partner. We're not the one that doesn't want to do. But you need to tell us, if you need something, explain to us why and justify it, because we had a deal. So I think to the hockey fans, they need to call up the Oilers or the Cates Group and ask them why they think they need the money. Maybe they explain to them. Just saying you need it isn't enough of an answer. It's not an answer to me. It shouldn't be an answer to anybody else in this room.
Are you concerned about the cost the city has incurred to date?
Absolutely. I thought we did it. I thought we did it on the trust of an agreement in October of 2011. So I am very concerned about it. That we believe we had a deal, a foundation of a deal with a few I's and T's to cross, and some of those things we might not have an agreement to. They brought to council, and council would have decided yay or nay. But apparently that's not the story.
Are you concerned that the Oilers could leave Edmonton?
I hope not. I think the NHL has to have a trust with the cities they do business with, and have to have a respect that the city of Edmonton has been desperately trying to make a deal to ensure that the Oilers are sustainable in this city, and to make sure that there's a profit. And let me assure you, there's a profit at the end of the day from this arena, and that the reasonableness that this city's portrayed and this council's portrayed is substantial. And I think the NHL has to respect that, and I believe Mr. Bettman will, and the other owners will. This is the best, in my opinion. I think it's the fourth highest attendance, the fifth highest prices. It's a profitable franchise. We believe it'll make it more profitable moving in a new arena. And so, I don't know what else to say. That we have trust that the NHL believes in cities that treat the NHL properly. And this city has treated the NHL like a god, given that, as a young man said back there, the NHL fans in this city, they are fanatical, and they're fanatical for our Oilers, which we all are. I mean, you don't go to a team that comes in last for 3 or 4 years in a row and fill the stadium every night, night in, night out, night in, night out, because you don't like the game. I don't think you'd do that in other cities in the NHL. I won't list them, but you can go through the list and see what people are paying $10 for a ticket for. You don't get a ticket to the Edmonton Oilers for $10.
Trust is one thing. What about a location agreement?
Well, we'd expect a location agreement to be part. No, we don't. No, we don't.
Is that the problem?
No, I think it is an issue. Obviously, it's an issue, but something I think that from my point of view, that trust that Mr. Cates said when he bought the team about how important Edmonton was to him and how important the Oilers were to him as he grew up and all those kinds of things would indicate to me that he wants to keep them here. Got to find a way to do the deal. I'm not sure how to do that anymore, but we're only asking him to come up with reasonable expectations and not to expect the city to pay all of this. It's unfair.
Mayor, I believe it was brought up in there that Mr. Cates has a 90-day option on the land. When does that clock start?
We'll deal with that. That's a different issue altogether. He has to exercise it, but we're not there yet. We're a long way from there.
Is the trust relationship so damaged that if Mr. Cates comes back, that this isn't...
Not from my point of view, no, not at all. You sign an agreement, the trust is with the holding of the Oilers for the citizens of Edmonton. That's the trust. We sign an agreement. We have lawyers that'll make sure it's done properly, and agreements will be in place. But I don't think it has anything to do with that's not a trust issue.
What do you think of the city constructing, owning, and running this facility and cutting it?
It's a half a dozen one, a half a dozen the other. We have a team, a great hockey team, if you know, if council gives direction to start a different, and I don't mean to indicate we will do this, a different form of negotiations. We have a hockey team. We have to negotiate with that hockey team. We're not going to start negotiating with another team. The Oilers are ours. And so whether we rent it or he pays a part of it, I have my own personal opinion, which we'll leave it aside for today.
What about negotiations if he continues to go through public ads and letters to you? Is that still
That's not,
acceptable
you
to
know, I mean, they need to meet face to face, and Mr. Cates needs to come in the room and not have other people there, and he needs to, you know, I mean, I feel bad. I mean, you know, Mr. Cates is a private man. He wants to be kept alone and not be placed in the public eye, and all this is doing is placing him in the public eye, and I'm sure he's very, very frustrated over this. I'm not here to make excuses for him, but, you know, letters to the editor, you know, direct letters to us, you know, questioning council's commitment to the city of Edmonton when we're funding all this is a bit difficult, but, you know, that's all part of negotiations. It's not going to, you know, it's not going to sway us from making a deal if a deal's to be made.
And the logistical stuff on part 3, what can we expect in the next few weeks and months?
Well, we'll obviously be working on this very, very quickly in terms of what are some of the options. We do have sort of material that we've collected over the negotiation period, and that'll help. So we are coming back to council quickly on the first 2 items in terms of ensuring that council's clear on that piece. But what we'll end up doing is coming back and saying, here's some options, here's some choices, and then probably council will direct us to drill more deeply into 1 or 2 of the options. And that being said, you know, the option is still to build, you know, build an arena under the existing framework.
And one of the options would then to build a do-it-yourself.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, to do it yourself kit, we'll come up with a little erector set and do it. Yeah. You know, I mean that. You know, building it yourself is. I mean, really building yourself or building it together is really. You know, the fact of the matter is that. You know, he's going to be the. We hope that the Oilers will be the tenant, not necessarily him, but the Oilers will be the tenant. And so, whatever you negotiate. I think that there might be advantages to us owning it, but I'm not sure what all those advantages would be. I'm not going to list them today, but I think there may be some. Other questions?
Mayor, was there a threat or anything today with the additional security in City Hall this afternoon?
I didn't notice any. You know, there's always rumors that Mr. Cates might be coming, and as a result of that, or, you know, I mean, people are passionate about this issue, so there was a little additional security in place, but nothing we were concerned about. But, you know, let's be fair. Is there anything, you know, I mean, even though I love the Eskimos, there's not many things that are as passionate about hockey in the city of Edmonton, and the Oilers are the raison d'etre of many people in the city, and so I respect that. And, you know, I don't think anybody's worked harder than Mr. Farbrother, myself, or City Council to make a deal, so we've done the best we can.
Are you glad the move to kill the Winter Garden was put on hold at least for now?
No, I think the Winter Garden is a real problem. I mean, I would have supported. I think it's a $70 million geld is a waste of money, that we could find another way to do it. And it's a 2.6, you know, if Mr. Cates, according to one of your writers, I don't know if he's here today, seems to have an inside track, that $6 million is the number of the subsidy, that's half of it. $3 million, half, boom. And it is of no benefit to the arena. It benefits all the land that they developed across the street. So I don't see why.
One of them is a one-time capital cost. The other thing is $6 million a year.
Oh, no, but one-time capital cost, my love, is not a one-time capital cost. You amortize it over 35 years. It's $2.7 million a year. So it's $2.7 million a year plus operating and maintenance. It's close to $3 million. That's half of what he's asking for. I mean, this is the challenge. Come up with some solutions, suggestions to get where you want to get. We'll help you get there.
Have you or the city had any conversations with the NHL about whether the Oilers could move?
No.
Mayor, I'm sure you've asked yourself this. Why do you suppose, at the end of the day, the Cates Group behaved the way it did?
I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for that. I mean, I think Mr. Cates is a fine person, but you know, people get frustrated, and I think
was he just not used to dealing with public officials, you think, or?
Well, you know, I mean, it's I think he's very frustrated and sometimes doesn't understand the world of what we have to deal in. Even though I think that Mr. Farbrother has been is you know, very clear in what council's direction is. So I don't know. I mean, we only wish him well. We're not here to vilify him or anything like that. We're just here to try to meet the desires of our citizens, which is what I think council did in October 2011, which was to put, I think, a more than fair more than fair deal on the table.
Did you get a sense there might have been a second agenda there, maybe to torpedo the deal and
No,
take
I
the team
don't think so.
elsewhere?
I don't think so. No, that I don't believe. No.
Any sense of what the reverberations will be?
I don't know. I'm sure that reverberations will be big reverberates. You know, so if that's such a word, I know reverberates might not be a word. So
It is now.
you know, so you know, we just want to. Council just wants to do the right thing for the citizens of Edmonton, and that is to build an arena at a fair and equitable price that makes the Oilers sustainable, helps rebuild our downtown, keeps the team happy, and the citizens happy. And all that, thank you all very much.